I'm Sharon Renee, and today we are going to talk about understanding spirit guides and about our spirit guides. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that we all should have spirit guides, and we should have anywhere from 1 to 6. 6 being the maximum. Now, every now and then we get a temporary guide, and what a temporary guide is a guide that will work with us during areas of specialization. So if we are really developing our artistic skills, we might get a guide that has had that same type of experience to kind of help us. Or if we go into healing work, we might get a guide that kind of comes in to help give some information during that process. So we can have temporary guides, and I will talk more about that as I go on. But right now I just want to give you a real basic understanding of the spirit guides. And our higher self will hire our guides as appropriate. So it's not that it's not that we need to or go in and like, okay, I need to hire a guide. I need to hire a guide. Our higher self knows when to do that. And usually by the time we are in our early 20s, like somewhere between 18 to 23, usually we have all the guides that we're going to get. Now, this isn't a competition. Your higher self knows what you need. And so let's say that you had some drastic life-changing events at 45 and you were really 100% shifting your energy. Is it possible to get a new guide at that time? Absolutely, if it's necessary. But your higher self knows. So it's not something that you need to micromanage with your higher self. Your higher self is working on that and working at that level to help you with that. And spirit guides are souls that have had real life experiences like us. So sometimes I talk about that the only place to raise our soul vibration is here in the physical world. This is the exception to the rule. So we could take, I'm going to say it, a lifetime off of these experiences and actually serve as a spirit guide to someone else. So spirit guides are souls that have actually had incarnations and they are still going through incarnations, but they're taking a lifetime off to be of assistance. Now, here's the thing, is that your spirit guide's soul vibration rate is always much higher than yours by many, many points, okay? So it's not like you're going to have a spirit guide that's a lower vibration than you, or you're going to have a spirit guide that is the same vibration or just a little bit higher. You're going to have spirit guides that are much higher because there's more experience to draw on and that they can help you. And in that lifetime, as you raise yours, theirs will raise. So let's say that we're really stubborn and we like living in misery and we don't change anything, then there's little that can be done for the spirit guides at that point because they just haven't been able to get their message through. But this is the only time that your soul vibration rate can raise on the other side. All right, so I hope that make that clear, because this is where you raise it, is in this world. And so to escape this world is to deny yourself the opportunity to grow at a spiritual level and to be more. So the only other time is to serve as a spirit guide. And no, you can't do it lifetime after lifetime, but you can take a break every now and then and serve as a spirit guide, which I think could be really cool. Except, you know, this part of me is really bossy and I don't want to deal with somebody that's like stuck, you know. All right, so they are here to serve us for our highest good, and the work they do for us is based on our life intentions. All right, so that's really important. So they're here and the work that they do is on our behalf for our life intentions. Okay, so the one thing I want to do, when you see me look away, I'm looking at my notes here. There are important things for you to understand about spirit guides. One, they are not the boss of you. You are the one in charge, meaning they don't tell you what to do or what you're supposed to do. Now, they can suggest and try to help you in the right direction. So they can be very obvious sometimes in how they're saying something or how they're trying to get a message across, but they can't say you have to do this, but they might say, even like through a reading, they might strongly suggest, well, you know, you really want to go this way. I mean, why would you not want to go this way? So they do strongly suggest, all right, but they're not the boss of you. They can't take responsibility for you. There's the free will law, okay? But they can help, and their intention is to always help you for your greater good, okay? All right. So next, they only know about you. They don't know about other people. So when somebody comes up to you in the store and says, my spirit guides told me to give you a message, that is bull, okay? Your guides don't know anything about anybody else's business or what they need. They only know about you. So when you're feeling led to tell somebody, there's something there within you that needs to do that. And it could be that you've got those empathy feelers out really strong, and you're touching in on their sorrow or whatever, and you want to go and help them. But your spirit guides don't know other people's business, and other people's spirit guides don't know yours. And one of the things that happens to me a lot is that people will call me and tell me that their spirit guides told them to work with me, and which they probably did if they're looking to grow at their intuitive level. And so their spirit guides probably did do that. But when I talk to them about the options and how much I cost, they want to argue with that and say, no, you don't understand. My guides told me to contact you. And I'm like, yes, they did, because I can help you. And they assume because their guides told them to contact me that I'm supposed to do it for free. All right, but I have the tools available to help them, but in no way am I supposed to do that with free. Now, what's funny is that people will say, well, you need to have your guides talk to my guides so that we can get this settled. Okay? There's a slavery issue, and there is a free will, and someone else's guides cannot impose or take away your free will. That's against the universal laws. But your spirit guides may, again, encourage you to get on the internet and look for spiritual books. And all of a sudden, there might be this book that pops out, online, and then you're driven to get it. So this would be a way of them helping you. But it's not about calling up your friend and saying, my guides told me that you have to give me your book. Okay? Because it's not about taking away free will. Okay? You don't need to trade in your guides or trade up. Your guides are equipped to work with you. Your higher self hired appropriately, and it's not a competition, and it's not about trading up. So that's very, very important. Their vibration is higher than yours and will continue to be so as long as you're working with them in this lifetime. Because theirs is going to keep going up as yours keeps going up, and if yours doesn't go up, theirs doesn't, but theirs is still higher than yours. Do you see the difference here? You see, in that difference? Okay, so that's part of what will happen. Okay, spirit guides are not angels, okay? Angels have not lived in physical incarnations, but both work towards our greater good, but both evoke non-interference laws, okay? That means that they can put information right in front of us, but it's up to us to take it or not. And so often our guides or angels do present to us what we were asking for, and then we have a reason why we can't have it. And so we're just kind of like, to me it's like spitting in their faces, because we find these reasons to not take it. And usually it's like, well, I'm not ready yet, I don't have the money. So we talk ourselves out of it, but yet they put this wonderful opportunity in front of us. And what a shame that we allow ourselves to be so motivated by fear that we can't really step into our divinity. And that's what happens over and over again, is that they do try to open the doors for us or to lead us in directions, but we consider it to not be the right time, or we talk ourselves out of that. And it's kind of tragic, okay? They are here to serve us in the highest way possible. They are here to be of service to us in the highest way. Okay, all right. So now I want to talk about signs. All right. So your guide team is awesome, and is always working in connection with your soul and your higher self for your highest good. And they really do rally together to support you. And they're often the ones that are the bringer of signs. So here's the thing, is that we don't often pay attention to their signs. It was just like what I was talking about, that they might open the door and it be right there, and then we have all of these reasons why we can't do it, but they will open the door. So sometimes this is what they do, and it's not on a malicious intent. It's not on a malicious intent at all. But sometimes if you're more apt to trust a sign of a past relative of somebody you love so much, if that was a spouse or a parent, a partner, if there was somebody that you really, really loved and you asked them to bring you a sign and you get that sign, a lot of times it's not that person that's passed that's giving you the sign, it's your spirit guides, because they're hearing what you want, so they're giving you that sign that you're asking for. But you're more apt to take it if you think it's coming from a person that you love past than it is coming from your spirit guide, because you have a tendency to doubt and to question. But if you said specifically, Mom, give me that sign, and the sign's a ladybug, you know, that it's okay for me to go and marry blah, 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 or that marrying somebody is going to make me happy. Like, they don't tell you what to do, and they don't know the future, so that's probably a bad example. But if you're not going to be mad about it or something, they're going to send you, your guides are going to send you that if it's something that's in alignment to your divinity. And again, this is where things are going at this moment. And there are a lot of times that we make these wonderful decisions, and in the moment they're perfectly aligned with us. And it could be 3 years later they're not working in alignment with us. It doesn't mean that we totally made the wrong decision. It means that we could have made other wrong decisions along the way. But our guides will always try to let us know when we're at that place of wrong decisions. Now, the other thing with that is that they actually send us physical impulses, which I think is pretty awesome. But they do send us physical impulses to let us know if we're doing something right or something wrong. And in my case, it's like if I'm making a choice over and over again and I'm doing something that I really don't want to do, but I'm still doing it because I've given myself all these reasons why I've got to do it, which doesn't happen as much anymore. But, you know, it does happen. Is, you know, this gets real tight on me and I get this real drastic pain and it shoots up. Well, I've learned now when I get this is to kind of tap it and I go, thank you for sharing with me. And I start to look at what decisions am I making that are causing this grief in my life that I don't want to be doing? What situations am I putting myself? And so immediately in recognizing that, I know that I can change it. So our guides will send us physical impulses, and they can be negative impulses and they can be positive impulses. Now, a guide might send a positive impulse, but that same guide might also have a negative impulse. Or you might have a guide that just gives positive impulses, and you might have a guide that just gives negative impulses. But let's say that you have 4 spirit guides, and they all give negative and positive impulses. If you're not really, this is where they're really strong. They're strong, because they're really trying to get it through. It's not making you happy. If you have 4 guides and you're really doing something that makes you unhappy, really unhappy, like it could be going to a job and you're not doing anything in it but hating it, okay, that you're really hating it. But it could be that they all are giving you the physical impulses, and one could be giving you that sense of an upset stomach, the other one could be giving you a sense of like a tightness in the chest. I'm making stuff up because I don't know what your guide's signs are, right? It could be that the other's giving you a headache, and it could be that the other is causing like this tightness or ringing in the ears or something. So you could get all 4 of those. Now, I've had clients that when I talk to them about their guides and I give them their impulses, I've had clients break down in tears because of the pain that they've been in for years and years, and then they're upset for their guides torturing them. Why are they doing this to me? Because I have gone for treatment over and over with this. Why are they torturing me? They're not torturing you. They're trying to say you're not happy in what you're doing. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Please save your life. So they're not trying to torture you. They're trying to connect with you to say, this isn't right for you. But, you know, you will keep trudging through what's not right because you feel like you have no choice. But they're not trying to torture you. They're trying to give you these signs to make you very aware. All right? So this is very important. But if you're making a good decision, you're not going to get negative signs with the positive signs. And positive signs might be, and again, I'm making stuff up, could be like chills all over. It could be For me, I get this like butterflies in the stomach. I get this giddiness, like this thing to laugh, and I also get this shaking of the leg thing. So often when I'm working on, I'm shaking my leg right now. Often when I'm in something where I'm really getting good information, or I'm in a place of writing the classes and I get so excited, I have a leg that will really start to shake like this, and it's kind of like a compulsion, but it's me knowing, okay, all right, well, if this is going on, there's something really good here, so just keep working it through. Just keep working it through and allowing it to happen. And you might get all of the positive impulses at the same time, or you might get all the negative at the same time. Or again, they could just be one at a time. So here's the thing, is that you could think of these wonderful ideas or direction you want, and all of a sudden you can get these positive signs, which is awesome. But if 3 months you haven't done anything but think about them, the signs are going to go away and the negative signs are coming in. Why? Why would they be giving you negative signs? Because you're not moving forward and you're still putting yourself in a situation that you don't like. So that will be why it was working at 1 minute and not the next, is because you've actually just sat on your ass. Okay? So that's kind of important to know, and it's kind of important to understand where that can take you. And it's really cool in how they do want to connect with you. Now, the other thing, and I talk about it in the Psychic Development 101 class, is that your soul also gives impulses. And it's an exercise that I have you do, to go in and find the negative feeling, and to find the positive feeling, and to find the fear. Because your guides may give you all these awesome sensations to move forward, but yet you're still having this clenching thing. And sometimes that clenching thing is so loud that we actually listen to that over all of the other feelings. That's your fear. That's your fear. So if you've got the positive and the negative at the same time, that's fear, because you're going into unknown territory. You're doing something new, and your ego is like, oh, I don't know that I want to do that. And everything about you, you want it, but you don't, because what if, what if, what if? And so we live in those what ifs, unfortunately. All right? So it's like, and the sooner we step through it, the sooner that fear will dissipate. All right? The sooner that fear will dissipate. Okay. All right. But they're not trying to create you misery. But when you've got a lot of negative impulses, and these negative impulses can actually turn into physical illness or disease. Now, your guides didn't give you this disease. You gave it to yourself because you weren't listening. You weren't taking the strides in your life to change what needed to be changed. You were waiting for it to be changed for you, or you were waiting for everybody else's life to get in order, or you did it because you think you should. Okay, so it's an awesome thing, but and it's just, I don't even know how to say it. It's if you listen, you're going to have good more than the bad. But the bad is that contrast of like, okay, I need to change something. That's what's going on. So you start looking at your life and thinking, okay, am I happy with this? Yes. Am I happy with, no, I'm not. I don't want to be the president of the PTA. They don't call it the PTA anymore, do they? It's like the PTO or the, I don't know, it's all kind of names. But you know the thing for the school where parents get together and teachers and they organize for the kids. But I don't want to be the president of the Girl Scout cookie mom thing or whatever. So they can be little things that can be changed, or it could be big things. It could be that you're tired of cleaning up after your family and you're always mad at them because they're leaving stuff laying around and you're cleaning up after them. So what needs to change is either you stop picking up after them, you make them move out. I mean, you have options, okay? But you put it out there. And again, it's just kind of important to understand that they do try to communicate with you through physical impulses, and this is their best way to communicate. And again, you might get the voices or whatever, but you'll argue with those. So the physical impulses is their one way of connecting steadily with you when you are getting ready to do something you should or shouldn't do. All right, so those are really good things to know. And as I just talked about, piggybacking off of your request. So again, if you're asking a past loved one to give you a sign, your spirit guides will jump in by that request to give those signs. Because why? They're trying to serve your highest good, and they're not trying to trick you into being an imposter to the person you love. But a lot of times you're more apt to look at it that way. You're more apt to look at it like, if they're giving me the sign, and they're in that special place and they know better, I'm going to listen to the sign. And where are your guides? They're in that special place and they know better. Okay? All right. So hold on just a second. That's my green tea. Okay. All right. So let's talk about when working with your guides. So when working with your guides, the first thing I'd like to say is to let go of any expectations you might have, such as they're going to just plop down on the couch and have a talk with you, or that you're going to hear voices that you can distinguish from your own, like they're going to have deep voices, or high voices, or I don't know, they're going to have, because how you hear in your head with your soul communication with your guides, with your angels, it's all going to sound like it's you talking in your head. So let go of any expectation that first they're going to plop down on the couch. Second, that they're going to change their voices just for you. Okay? It's not going to happen that way, because you're not necessarily going to be able to distinguish it from your own inner voice. And this is why they're working from the fifth dimension, okay, and communicating to us in the third and fourth dimensional body, because we are here in the third dimension, but we also work in the fourth dimension, because our emotional body and our mental body are fourth dimensional. Our thoughts and stuff are fourth dimensional. So they're coming from the fifth dimension. We're in the third, so they're connecting with us through the fourth dimension. So they're kind of having to come down. We're kind of like having to pay attention to what's going on up here, okay, in the fourth dimension. So for them to take all of that energy and just plop down and have this conversation with you is energetically, if you got them to plop down, there's going to have to be so much power going towards that it's a waste of energy, because it would be short spurts of information. Not that you can't see them in your meditation, because why would you be able to see them in your meditation? Because you're in the fourth dimension. We're going into that place here between the fourth and the fifth. And can we get into the fifth dimension? Yeah, we can, through our meditation and our quiet time. But it's like they can meet us, the fourth or the fifth dimension. But, we're in the third. That's where we're at. So they're not going to jump out of the sky, so to speak. And it's not that you can't have inner conversations with your guides. I have them all the time with my guides. I have them all the time with, who I call the Creator, with God. Now, is that my higher self or is that God? I don't know. And I don't care, because it serves me. Okay? It serves me. So I'm not spending this time questioning, are you really God, or are you my higher self? It doesn't matter, because if I apply the information, good things happen. That's where I'm going with that. Okay? So again, they're not going to tell you what to do, but they can make very, very strong suggestions. And when you hear them, it's more on the inner side. It's not like you're hearing whispers from outside. Okay? So if you're hearing whispers from outside of your ears and there's not anybody there, that might be some other type of thing going on. But your spirit guides, it's going to sound like it's coming from within. Okay, from within when they're speaking to you. And the only time it would seem different is if really, really there's an emergency situation, like you're driving the car, it's late at night, and you're falling asleep, and you might hear a loud scream, "Wake up!" Okay, then that might be how it comes outwardly. Or you might get a strong whiff of a skunk or something that pops your eyes open and wakes you up, so that you don't have the accident. So those will be the times that it feels like it's coming outside of you, okay, in that voice kind of aspect. But most of the time it's like it's going on in your head. Do you like how I'm doing this? I'm trying to explain. All right. Okay. And our spirit guides aren't going to tell us to do anything that's going to harm us or to harm anyone else, right? So and they don't tell us what to do again, but they will give us strong suggestions. For example, like, let's say that you want to be a Reiki practitioner and you would really like to do it full time, but you're in conflict about what to charge, or that even you would have the right clients, okay? And what can happen is that you could be in meditation and your spirit guide say, you know, offer Reiki sessions for $5. And if you feel really good about that, then you do it. And again, it could be like it's your thought and you're going, okay, should I offer Reiki sessions for $5? And if you get positive impulses, that's a good way. But they might say, you're in that place of like, I know I shouldn't do it for free and I should charge, but I don't know how much to charge. And all of a sudden, if you just heard an amount, $10 or $20 or $150, that could be your spirit guides trying to give you a number that's in alignment with you. Now, if all you do is go around getting free stuff from people, it makes it harder to charge, doesn't it? Because you're always getting stuff for free. The best way to align your charges, which has nothing to do with spirit guides, but the best way to align your charges is what are you willing to pay for things and what do you do? Like if you don't pay, whatever you pay is what you're in alignment with charging. All right? And I know that what I pay for services, I usually pay more than what I charge. So I'm in alignment with actually charging more. Okay? So it's one of those things. But again, they could also, that number could pop in your head and it comes from your spirit guides, but they're not saying you have to charge $50 or you have to charge $150. They're saying, well, why not try $50? Why not try $150? So that can be how it comes. And you can also ask your guides, hold on just a second, I'm reading my notes here. And you can always ask your guides to give you a sign when communicating or showing up in meditation. The best knowing signs, the most easily acceptable, would be physical sensations. Again, like if you get chills on your body or you get a twitch in your eye, whatever. And you can always ask as a generic rule for any of your guides to give you a specific sensation when they're trying to communicate with you, or a scent like jasmine or cherry blossoms or itchy feet. But here's the thing is if you have cherry blossoms outside and jasmine outside and you always have itchy feet, those wouldn't be the good things to ask for, right? So it's going to be something that you want to distinguish than what already exists in your surroundings, okay? But you can ask them to give, you could actually request to them to give you a specific sign, okay? And it could be, again, itchy feet, an itchy palm, you know, when they're trying to communicate with you. You can ask for them, okay? And this helps you to build confidence up in communicating. Because you're going like, okay, my palm is itching. How's my palm itching? Oh, yeah, I told my spirit guides to let me know. Okay, so that's itching. And was I asking them to tell me if something was right or if something was wrong? I mean, you play that game. So you want to know, okay, if I'm doing it right, give me an itchy palm. If I'm doing it wrong, you know, give me a headache. I mean, like, we don't like pain, but I'm just giving an example, okay? So this is how they communicate with you. And the more that you follow these little symbols and signs, the easier it is, okay? All right, so now I'm going to talk about sleeping. And so I find for clients, and for anybody, one of the best ways to interact with your spirit guides is to ask them for something before going to sleep. And you can do it, and if you don't feel like you have it the next day, keep doing it, and keep doing it until you wake up with that answer. Again, they're not going to give you the answer to the problem, but they may help give you very clear and specific direction. And again, think of it as suggestions, okay? And but before you go into that sleep state, you can ask, and when we're asleep, we travel through the astrals. And so we can get that information and we can actually have a sit down and conversation with our guides. And remember, they're not fortune tellers. They can't tell us, they can't tell us necessarily about others. They can tell us how we best could handle somebody else, but not how it's going to fix somebody. Do you see the difference? Not how we can fix somebody, but how we can fix how we handle it. You get the difference? Okay. And so you just kind of keep asking that question over and over until you get it. But usually you'll wake up with that answer. So here are some examples. So questions might include, so you're just now wanting to create a relationship with your guides because you're not feeling it. You're not feeling like they're there. And a lot of times it's because we don't believe it. All right. And I think the difference in me knowing it than other people is that I started working with my guides at such a young age. Nobody told me I couldn't. Nobody told me it was impossible. Nobody told me it was hard or it was difficult. So therefore I was accepted. And I think that that's why it's easier for me, because I was never in a place where it was an impossibility. Okay. All right. So questions to start with, and these would tell you where I'd start, is on the first night. Is to say, how many guides do I have? And ask that question. Okay, guides, I want to know how many I have in my support team. How many of you are there? And you go to sleep and you dream, and you might not even see your guides. I'm dreaming for you, see, my eyes are closed. Okay, you might not even have your guides there. But when you're waking up and you're stretching and you're hearing 5, 5, 5, and you're going, what is the 5 thing? And somebody talks to you later about what are you doing on the 5th of the month? What are you doing on the 5th of October? What are you doing at 5 o'clock? And you why is this 5 thing showing up? Oh yeah, my guides asked how many I had. 5. Here's my answer. 5. I've got 5 guides. Okay, so you get that answer. Yay! All right. So the next night you can go guide number 1, and you go in this order: guide number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, and 5. Why? Because your first guide is the one that the first guide that comes in is your breath of life guide. And so let me tell you that. So as soon as you're born and as soon as you breathe, take that breath of life, your first guide attaches. Sometimes we get 2 at that point in time. Most of the time it's 1. But as soon as we take that first breath of life, our first guide is there with us. Okay, and then our higher self hires appropriately as needed. But again, sometimes we might have 2 guides because maybe we're going to be going through some things where we need some extra help. Okay, all right, so guide number 1 is your first one. So guide number 2 would be hired second. Number 3 would be third. So this is the best process to do. So and once you have your guides, they're with you till you die. So your first one comes in at the first breath of life, and your last one comes in at that last point that your higher self hires, usually by usually between 18 and 21 to 23. Can we have one at midlife? It's possible, but there has to be a lot of change, but it can happen. Okay, so they're with us until we die, once we have them. Okay, and so with guide number 1, the first, after you find out you've got 5 guides, you would say, okay, guide number 1, what's your name? What's your name? And so you go to sleep, and you might wake up hearing Peggy Sue playing in your head. Peggy Sue. You know, you might, why am I hearing Peggy Sue? Why am I hearing Peggy Sue? And then it might come on the radio or whatever. Then they're trying to tell you that. And your guides really are going to have regular names. I mean, yeah, if you want them to have some elaborate thing that they're the Princess of Zenobia or something, okay, you can. But they're just people, you know? It's not about like, oh, well, I work with Saint Germain and I work with the White Brotherhood. Okay, you do, yay, fine. But your guides are going to be regular people. And so many people want like Native American guides. And I want to tell you that, you know, just because they were Native Americans, they might have worked with the earth, but it doesn't mean that Native American guides are more spiritual than the next person. Okay? Because they're still incarnating too. But I know a lot of times people think that there's a special thing if they have that Native American guide. But it doesn't make you more special if you have one or not. So I'm just saying, okay? Because your higher self is going to hire them, not your conscious mind. All right? And not necessarily based on your specific desire. All right? So you wake up, you have that name, and if you don't, you keep asking until you get it. All right? And then after that, you'd go, guide number 2, give me your name. All right? And you can also sit in quiet meditation and ask those questions. It's just that often people don't accept them that way. So that's what I'm telling you to do with sleep. Like, you can ask in quiet time. You can ask. Okay? And you can also ask for the physical sensations with that. Okay, and again, one of the best forms are the physical impulses or sensations. So how would you do that? Is that you're going to sit quietly and you're going to command the presence of your guide team. Okay, so guides, I command, you know, that you show up here. okay? Commanding means that you're taking ownership. It doesn't mean that you're being a bossy bitch, okay? It's taking ownership. And ask guide number 1, you know, is there a physical impulse you send when my thoughts or actions are in alignment to my soul's desires? So here's the question again. Is there a physical impulse you send when my thoughts or actions are in alignment with my soul's desires? And you may get a yes, followed by a sensation. Okay, or you may get an impulse without a yes, but you may get a sensation, so that would be it. Now this impulse could be chills, a sense of excitement, relief, or lightness, or some other feel-good sensation. If you don't get anything and you hear a no, then they don't send a positive impulse. Then ask the same guide, is there a physical impulse you send when my thoughts or actions are not in alignment with my soul's desire? And you may get a yes, followed by the impulse, or you may get nothing. But this impulse could be, this is negative, so it could be a lump in the throat, it could be heart palpitations, body pain, upset stomach. It's an uncomfortable situation, right? Because if it feels good, why would you not keep doing it, right? So it's going to be an uncomfortable sensation, all right? And again, you're asking for it. Doesn't mean it's going to hang out with you all day. It will go away, all right? And you're going to continue to ask other guides those same questions. Now, some or all the guides may give you both positive and a negative impulse, or some may give one or the other. There will always be positive and negative impulses so that they can better assist you, but they're not going to give you positive and negative at the same time. If they're coming in with their positive impulse and you're feeling something negative, it's your fear. It's your fear. And this is where we have to swallow through the fear and move forward. Now I want to talk to you just a second about fear. My fear is even much louder than my negative sensations. My fear is so loud that I can hear my heart beat in my ear, and I get the lump in my throat so big that I feel like I can't swallow and that I'm going to cry. But my heart, I can hear it beating in my ears. But it is much louder than my negative, because again, one of my negative sensation is this, what I call the pain in the neck, the dagger here. And I will, you know, I've learned to ignore that. Like, oh, I just have a headache or whatever. So it's like I could have it for days and then go, oh shit, you know, oh, there's something going on here. So it's very important that you pay attention. But my fear, I can always recognize my fear. So when I'm having that heartbeat in the ear and the lump in the throat, I have to kind of get quiet and say, okay, well, I want to, you know, somebody wants me to do this. This is right. And if I get all this negative, okay, really, if you get to all of that at the same time, you already know that it's negative. But it's like getting the fear so quiet that you can hear if there's positive signs. But we often don't move forward because that fear is so strong that it overshadows our positive signs. So I really, really want you to be accustomed to how your body shows its fear. Okay? And let's think about something that you're afraid of. Okay? And that could be failure, being alone, elevators, heights. I mean, think of something that you're afraid of. Okay? And again, your guides can double team you with the sensations, and it's not that they're trying to hurt or harm you. They're really not, okay? All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about temporary guides. When we are in a place of learning skills or new learning of skills or practices, our higher self will sometimes hire a temporary guide. Even if we already have a full team, somebody will step back so this guide can come in. In the area, it's an expertise in that area to help assist us during that time of learning. And it could be that, you know, you're going to nursing school. It could be that you're going to take massage therapy classes. It could be that you're developing your intuition or psychic abilities. So it can also be that this guide will show up each time we're doing the work related to that specialty for a long time. So sometimes when I'm working, when I tune into healers, I will see Kuan Yin. And she is like the feminine of Buddha, but she has a lot of healing energy. And I often will see her with healing practitioners. And I see her associated too with the color of like rose quartz. But I often will see her with healing practitioners. So I know that there's an assistance that comes in with that. And we could consider that a temporary guide. She's coming in during that time of the work. Okay, so they might come in while you're doing that work, but they're not with you all the time. Okay, so time out. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you about are negative guides. So it is possible that we have negative guides, and in that case we need to fire them. Now I want to say this again. You don't ever fire your guides or try to trade up, because if you fired your guides, they're not going to be replaced. All right? If we're firing a guide, we're firing a negative guide only. So it's not about trading up, and it's not a competition. Your guides are always more spiritually evolved than you are and can help in your assistance, okay? But it is possible, if we were in a very dark or desperate place, we could actually hire a negative guide. And this isn't common, but it does happen. And this is how it would be, is that you are so hurt or so traumatized that you're praying for vengeance on someone, okay? Or you're praying for somebody to help. You're praying for this spiritual help to get even or to win or whatever over these other people. And again, so this comes from, we're from a very broken and desperate place. Now our guide team will try to give us impulses to not do that. But it can happen, and this you would be praying really hard for help with a revenge type situation or wishing a lot of harm on someone else. And I was recently doing a spirit guide reading for someone and it was interesting because when I first went in and I asked if there were negative guides, I wasn't getting any. But that person also had some kind of mirrors set up to reflect the truth. So what happened was that I was hearing the guides cry, and from my perspective, I was actually seeing a visual, like almost like from a sci-fi a sci-fi movie, that they were like bound and like in like a cocoon of some kind and couldn't communicate. And I was hearing the first guide crying, saying, "I don't like this, I don't want to be here." And I'm like, boy, what is that person doing? And so I'm like, okay, something's wrong. And so I thought, okay, I need to check to see if this person has any mirrors up. And mirrors can be something that I check for to see if they are not, if they're not reflecting the truth. Okay, and a lot of times that comes from, again, a place of being defensive, and we don't want people in that shield, so it's a place of protection. And so yes, I got them, so I cleared the mirrors, and then I said, are there any negative guides? Absolutely, there was a negative guide. So once I fired the negative guide, it freed these other guides to come up and to come forward. But that was real serious, and it was really, they were really bound because that person had been working a lot with their negative guide, okay? And you know, your life situations will show, because negative, like no matter how ahead you want to get, you'll be more and more behind. Okay, you will still find yourself being the victim in these situations. So there's not a getting ahead point or getting even, and it creates what? A lot of negative karma for you. Okay, so I fired that guide immediately. And you can fire negative guides, and if you're worried about having any, I have a prayer included in the handout that you can fire the negative guides, but you should never ever fire your other guides in hopes of trading up. So if you're concerned that you might have one, you can say this prayer. I've got a prayer here that you can say to clear any negative guides. Okay, and you can definitely do that. Chances are most of you probably don't have it, but you know, if you want to, rest assured and know that, say that request. But you would have come from a dark place. Could have been as a child, and let's say that you were abused, but you're wanting somebody to come in and kill your dad or whatever so that he doesn't kill you. This could open the door for hiring a negative guide, all right? Because there's a lot of intent in the prayer, and your guides don't want you to do that, but again, it's your free will. And a negative guide, what a negative guide does is they start to manipulate situations, and they will keep you in a place of disempowerment, because that's where they get more energy. No, their soul vibration won't raise, and no, their soul vibration isn't necessarily higher than yours. They're working from a negative place, so it's not going to be high, is it? So, but that was something that you did with intent, okay? All right, so, yeah, but there is a prayer for you to fire them, so you don't need to be worried about going around carrying a negative guide. And once they're fired, they're fired. All right, and so they're off where they need to be. They're not going to be in your space or hanging out waiting to attack you, okay? All right, so when I talk about your guides being, you have anywhere from 1 to 6 guides. Those are inner circle. Those are the guys that work directly with us. Now, we also have an outer circle guide team. Now, here's the thing, is that because I'm doing a spirit guide class here, I want to tell you about it, but I have so much concern about somebody creating harm to themselves. This was really hard for me to know if I should put it out there or not, all right? So our outer circle is not just managing us, they're managing other people. So think of them as team leaders. But we don't need to mess with them, and we don't need to distract them, because again, they have other people. We don't want to distract them from their job. And they're working with our higher self for our highest good, and they have specific jobs. And I'm going to share with you what the jobs are, but I don't want you distracting them, okay? Because if you distract them, that could create harm to you. And that's why, not because I want to be in charge and I just want to keep you blindsided. It's not that. It's because I want to make sure that you understand that if you distract them, it could open up the door for you not having all the protection that you should have, okay? So we have 7 outer guides present, and they come with us. So they're part of that circle when we're here. They're not hired throughout periods of time, but they're the outer circle, and they're managing things, working with the higher self. And our inner guides are the ones that we work with. These are our guides. These are who we work with. The other ones are doing their own thing. And again, they're also mastering with other people. And is it 10 other people or 100 other people? So they're having to micromanage, or not micromanage. They're having to manage a lot. Okay, but they're not engaging in our daily life. It's our inner circle that works with our everyday experience. Now, the outer circle works in conjunction with our higher self to help us at very specific times based on our actions and desires. Whereas our inner circle works upon our personal desires and requests, the outer circle works with our higher self, okay? So the inner circle works with our personal desires and requests. The outer circle works with our higher self. And our inner circle will interact with our outer circle on an as-needed basis. And again, I'm only including them so you have an understanding of the dynamics of our guide teams, okay? So we have a chief guide, which doesn't mean that they're an Indian chief, okay? But we have a chief guide. Now, their soul vibrations are way advanced, okay? They're way advanced, and this is what they spend their time doing, okay? This is the guy or gal in charge, and they work in collaboration with their higher self, and they coordinate our spiritual teachers, our masters, teachers, and our special assignment guides. Okay, so they're working with our higher self at helping to make sure that we have those teachers when needed. The gatekeeper, we have a gatekeeper, and that's in charge of opening our soul level memory files at appropriate times, and they hold collections of our experience and knowledge over our lifetimes. And so what they do is that they open up files at certain times to say, okay, it's time to let this go. All right, this is how long you've been carrying it. Or it can be trying to let us know where they're trying to serve us with our purpose for this current lifetime. But they'll open up our soul memory files. And sometimes those soul memory files can be just little pieces of letting us feel very, very empowered. And so we will have a feeling of being very empowered. We might not know why, but again, it's because they've opened up a soul memory file. Or it's, again, we might need to understand what was our point of disempowerment, and so we might all of a sudden start thinking about things when we were growing up and how we weren't allowed to make choices and our mother dressed us and these kinds of things, because there's soul memory files to say, okay, at that point in time you were having to be who you should be, and that's what's affecting you today. So do you still want to be that person, or are you ready to break free and to be your own person? So that's an example of how that can open up. Okay, a timing guide. So they work closely with the gatekeeper, which would make sense, right? And it's in charge of creating timing that's most appropriate for our experiences. Okay, so it's, again, sometimes when something shows up and we've been asking for it and it shows up, but it costs more than we want to pay, we'll go, it's not the right time. Was it not the right time? if it showed up, your timing guide worked hard with the gatekeeper to present it. So why is it not the right time? What are you afraid of? Just saying, okay? Good example. Karmic technician is responsible for helping us resolve unfinished business and completing karma accumulated in past or present lives. It would really be cool is that, you know, we don't have to carry karma through past lives. Like, we can rectify it in the present life. So we create, everything we do creates karma. When we do really great things, we create great karma. So that's not something that needs to be rectified, right? We learned how to do it. So the karmic guide will help us to rectify this karma. So which could be that we keep getting these yucky situations over and over again. Why are they happening? Because we haven't changed how we're handling it. And the karmic guide is trying to say, you know, let's be done with this. Let's not go through it anymore. Let's make a different choice this time. Okay? Now, the creative guide facilitates talents and connects us with beauty and aesthetics. And if we know the area of specialty of this guide, it can give us clues to our own creative talent. So one of the things that you could do, and I would tell you before going to sleep, is to ask your guides to find out what is the creative talent of your creative guide. So that, you know, when they come back and say, well, you know, they were a painter, and you go, okay, well, I've been trying to decide if I should let go of, you know, working in a factory to painting, or if I have the ability to paint. That would let you know that, okay? But you can have your inner circle tell you what the creative, you don't have to distract your creative guide. But having that information can help you tap into that, and your creative guide is going to work at helping with that, okay? But this could be anything from medicine to art or motivation to teaching, and it doesn't have to be artistically specific. So again, if you're working in the healing area, and you might find out that your creative guide was a healer of sorts. So, and this doesn't mean, this kind of helps you to understand what your talent is, because it's kind of like, I'm lack of better words, I want to call it an inherited thing. Okay? All right. So, but you can ask your inner guides to tell you what the creative guide's talent, where their talent lies. Okay, and it could be anything. Okay, it could be something you're not even expecting to hear. The guardian, that's our bodyguard. We don't need to mess with him. He's keeping anything negative from coming in. And you know, when we hire a negative guide, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. But again, you know, we make our choices, but they don't like it because they know it's not to our greater good. But we don't want to distract them. We don't want to distract the guardian from doing their job. So then we have an astral guide, and an astral guide accompanies us, accompanies and guides us during our astral sleep. So when we're sleeping, we can travel to negative or positive astrals, and this guide is with us. And I use my astral guide a lot, because a lot of times in my sleep I am working with the dead, with people that have passed but they haven't gone on. And so my guide is I always make sure that I have an assistance, and sometimes I even call on other angels to be there, especially if I'm going into a place that is kind of hellish and it's a very negative astral. I always want to make sure that I have that protection, that no one comes out that's not supposed to come out, and that the person that's asking for help is really a person asking for help and not something tricking me. Because in my work, I do go to the negative astrals a lot. So I need that. And also when I fly or I'm traveling, I request that my astral guide sit on the wing of the planes, because I don't like heights and I don't like to be in an airplane. And so I ask them to sit on the wing, and when I'm traveling, I ask them to sit on the hood of the car. So, you know, in my mind, they're right there. But they help us with travel, and they help us with traveling in our sleep, so that we can travel safely. And again, our decisions are our own, but they can again send clues or whatever. So, and usually, you know, your astral guide is the one, you know, you will see a lot, because that's what they do. They're helping us during our sleep time. And sometimes, you know, our astral guide, if we're with a lot of other people we don't know, but we feel like we're having real interactions, it could be that, again, our astral guide is overseeing all of us that they manage, you know. and that we're all going through things. But sometimes in our sleep, we go through fears and stuff so that we can understand them, so that we don't actually have to have them in life, which is kind of pretty good. Okay, so that's our astral guide. So those are our outer circles, and they're all there for a reason, and they're all there for our highest good. So this is how you understand the spirit guides. Now, I have already in connecting with your past loved ones, there are some meditations and stuff to connect to your spirit guides, and I did not add them in here because I didn't need to be redundant. And there's also a spirit guide meditation on the Academy that you can use. So, you know, I suggest that you utilize that and take advantage of it. But this is an understanding basics of your spirit guides. They work on your behalf, but they are not your boss. And there is a prayer to fire any negative guides if you are concerned and feel like you were in that kind of a desperate place. All right, so I want to tell you thank you for sharing with me, and enjoy understanding your spirit guides, how they work, and, you know, embrace them and work with them, because they are working for your highest and greatest good. All right, have a beautiful day.